Welcome back to Not Quite My Tempo with Chris. This weekend we got a new dinosaur survival film starring Ewan McGregor and Anne Hathaway, The End of Oak Street. Directed by David Robert Mitchell, the Platt family bands together to navigate their new surroundings after a cosmic event transports their suburban neighborhood to someplace unknown. The trailers for this one look solid, I like the leads a lot, and while it's not as exciting as I hoped it could be, I still found this to be an exciting ride. This movie feels very retro and very much pays homage to classic 80s family adventure films. Of course, you have Jurassic Park as the obvious comparison anytime a dinosaur movie comes out, and there are some references to that film that fans of that film can appreciate, but the film very much has its own identity as well. It brings in some of that family adventure vibes of something like E.T., with kids on bikes, a bit of family drama. There's a nice merging of the dinosaur survival genre here, with the idea of an average 1980s family working together to survive. That gives it a unique vibe, while still having a lot of the enjoyable elements of some Amblin films. With the ending, there's another Amblin film that feels worked in a little bit that I found really cool. I don't even want to say what it is here because I feel it could be too spoilery. Now, does it have the magic of some of these films? Not quite. We are talking about all-time classics, but even then, this film has its duller moments, some sequences and thrills that don't quite captivate as much as others. When it does come to these thrills, though, there's a lot of excitement to be had here for the most part. That stress of these massive creatures being aggressive and attacking our lead characters leads to some really well-directed survival and battle scenes. Part of what makes it work so well for me is the setting of this very average suburban neighborhood being utilized so extensively. For one, it adds some feeling of dread to this, seeing the normalcy of the neighborhood and the people there against these extremely high danger circumstances and destruction, and you get a lot of variety with following the characters as they navigate the neighborhood. It quickly becomes a battleground, so you get sequences that are more out in the open and people running from the dinosaurs out in the streets, some car action, chases, but then the action also finds its way inside at different points in ways that are really nail-biting. Dinos coming through windows, pounding on doors. There's an inside sequence later on that has some brilliant callbacks and use of established details in it. It really makes you feel stressed. It also feels like every little detail, every sort of environment and situation our characters can find themselves in with dinosaurs appearing in their neighborhood gets taken advantage of here. I will say it does take a bit to get going with the dinosaur action, but once it does, the movie's a non-stop ride of thrills. Sort of that J.J. Abrams energy as he is a producer on this film. Even as the opening can be a tad slow, there are some smart details set up that have some exciting payoff later on and how they come back to be used. There's plenty of excitement here that satisfies what the trailer promises. Dinosaurs are all over the place, the characters never feel safe until the end, and for having this family adventure vibe, it strikes a good balance of being for a PG-13 audience while still being pretty intense with some violent moments and the designs of these creatures. If you wanted a family trying to survive dinosaurs, you get that with this film, and you get a lot of it. With the opening of the film, it does a little bit to set up some of the family drama and tension between the characters. The two leads of Ewan McGregor and Anne Hathaway can be fun here, being very average people put in this situation. There are certainly points where you feel the connection between the family. The ending really hits hard emotionally, but I also say the drama between the family feels a tad underdeveloped at points. There's times where I didn't feel as connected to the characters, and where the emotions weren't as strong as they needed to be. It gets a little bogged down with it in the beginning without fully succeeding at bringing me into what's going on with them. So the end of Oak Street isn't without its faults. It takes a bit to settle in, and the family dynamic isn't quite as engaging as I would have hoped, but for a throwback family adventure with dinosaurs, a PG-13 rating that still has true terror, great creature designs and visual effects with a lot of variety, a script that makes little details matter. David Robert Mitchell directed an adventure with some homages to classic Amblin films while still being its own thing. The cast is fun, the tone is well balanced. I've seen some people call this a new dinosaur classic. I didn't care for it quite that much, but I would definitely say if you like the trailer, you like the genre, it's a fun time. I give The End of Oak Street a 77 out of 100. That's going to be it for me today on Not Quite My Tempo with Chris. Let me know what you thought of this film in the comments below, and I'll be back on Wednesday with a review for The Brink of War. Until then, enjoy.